For most of modern history, medicine has been guided by a single foundational belief: that every illness has a biological cause, and every recovery must be explained through measurable intervention. Cells malfunction, organs fail, systems collapse, and physicians respond with drugs, surgery, or therapy. This framework has saved millions of lives and remains one of humanity's greatest achievements. Yet, despite its success, modern medicine is encountering a growing number of cases that challenge its own assumptions. Patients diagnosed with terminal illnesses recover without treatment. Tumors regress without chemotherapy. Neurological damage resolves in ways that defy existing models of repair. These outcomes are not rare anecdotes or unverified stories. They are increasingly documented, peer-reviewed, and recorded within medical institutions themselves. As these cases accumulate, a profound question is emerging within clinical science. Are there forces influencing healing that current medical models do not fully account for? And if so, what role might belief, prayer, or faith play within that process? This is not a question of abandoning science. It is a question of expanding it. Modern medicine operates within what is often described as a materialistic paradigm. The human body is viewed as a biological machine, governed by chemistry, genetics, and physical laws. Disease arises from dysfunction within these systems, and recovery is achieved by correcting those dysfunctions through external intervention. This paradigm has produced extraordinary progress. Vaccines have eliminated once deadly epidemics. Antibiotics have transformed infectious disease. Imaging technologies allow clinicians to observe internal processes in real time. Life expectancy has increased dramatically across the globe. However, materialistic medicine struggles when confronted with recovery that occurs without intervention or in direct contradiction to biological predictions. When a patient heals despite the absence of treatment, medicine often responds by labeling the case an anomaly, a statistical outlier, a coincidence. But science does not advance by ignoring anomalies. Science advances by investigating them. One of the most well-documented challenges to conventional medicine is the phenomenon known as spontaneous remission. Spontaneous remission refers to the partial or complete disappearance of a disease without medical treatment, or following treatment considered insufficient to explain the outcome. This phenomenon has been most frequently observed in oncology. Medical journals contain verified cases in which malignant tumors regress or disappear entirely without chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery. In some instances, metastatic cancer, widely considered irreversible, has vanished completely. These outcomes are confirmed through imaging, biopsy, and long-term follow-up. They cannot be dismissed as diagnostic error. Yet despite decades of research, no single biological mechanism consistently explains why spontaneous remission occurs in some individuals and not others. Immunological explanations suggest that the immune system may suddenly recognize and attack malignant cells. While plausible, this explanation merely describes what happens, not why it happens at a particular moment in a particular patient. The trigger remains unexplained. Parallel to these observations, another field of science has fundamentally reshaped our understanding of the human body: neuroplasticity. For much of the 20th century, the brain was believed to be fixed after early development. Neurons, once damaged, were thought incapable of regeneration. Neurological injuries were considered permanent. This belief has been proven incorrect. Neuroplasticity demonstrates that the brain can reorganize itself throughout life. Neural pathways can adapt, rewire, and compensate for injury. Patients with strokes, traumatic brain injuries, and degenerative disorders have regained lost functions through processes once considered impossible. Importantly, these changes are influenced not only by physical rehabilitation, but also by mental engagement, emotional state, and intention. Functional brain imaging reveals that belief and expectation can alter neural activity and structure. This discovery carries a profound implication. Mental states can initiate physical change. The mind-body connection, once dismissed as speculative, is now a legitimate area of scientific inquiry. Psychoneuroimmunology examines how psychological processes influence immune function. This research demonstrates that chronic stress suppresses immune response, increases inflammation, and accelerates disease progression. Conversely, positive emotional states, such as hope, meaning, and optimism, are associated with improved immune regulation, hormonal balance, and cardiovascular health. These effects are not subjective, they are measurable. The placebo effect provides one of the clearest demonstrations of this interaction. Patients receiving inert treatments frequently experience real physiological improvement when they believe they are being treated. brain imaging, hormonal assays, and immune markers all change in response to belief alone. Notably, placebo effects persist even when patients are informed that the treatment contains no active medication. This suggests that belief itself, not deception, is the operative factor. Belief, therefore, functions as a biological signal. Prayer enters this discussion not as a religious doctrine, but as a structured form of belief and intention. Prayer typically involves focused attention, emotional regulation, expectation of outcome, and a sense of meaning or connection. Each of these components has been independently shown to influence physiological processes. Clinical studies examining prayer and health outcomes produce mixed results, largely due to methodological challenges. Prayer cannot be standardized or isolated like a pharmaceutical compound. However, certain patterns consistently emerge. Patients who engage in regular prayer or spiritual practices often report lower anxiety, improved trooping, and greater emotional resilience. In some studies, these individuals also demonstrate improved recovery rates and reduced symptom severity. Importantly, these correlations persist even after controlling for socioeconomic status, medical access, and baseline health. This suggests that prayer may function as an independent variable rather than a mere psychological comfort. From a biological perspective, prayer may exert its effects through stress modulation. Reduced stress lowers cortisol levels, stabilizes autonomic function, and enhances immune surveillance. These changes create an internal environment more conducive to healing. Prayer also fosters meaning. Meaning has been shown to improve resilience in the face of illness. Patients who perceive their suffering as purposeful or comprehensible often demonstrate better outcomes than those who experience despair or helplessness. This does not imply that prayer guarantees recovery. Rather, it suggests that prayer may influence the body's capacity to respond to treatment and repair itself. Physicians who document spontaneous recovery frequently describe a recurring pattern. Patients often report an internal shift preceding physical improvement. This shift may involve acceptance, forgiveness, renewed purpose, or deep conviction that recovery is possible. These reports are not offered as explanations, but as observations. Medicine acknowledges the pattern, even if it cannot fully explain it. Importantly, such recoveries do not typically involve rejection of medical care. Most occur alongside standard treatment. Faith does not replace medicine, it appears to interact with it. This interaction challenges the reductionist model of healing, the idea that recovery can be fully explained by examining isolated components such as cells or molecules. Healing appears to be emergent, arising from the interaction of biological, psychological, and existential factors. Reductionism has been an invaluable scientific tool. However, it may be insufficient to capture the complexity of human healing. The human organism is not merely a collection of parts, but an integrated system in constant interaction with its environment and internal states. Acknowledging this complexity does not undermine science, it strengthens it. The ethical implications of this perspective are significant. Physicians must avoid offering false hope or imposing beliefs. Faith cannot be prescribed, and prayer cannot be mandated. However, supporting a patient's internal resources, hope, meaning, belief, can be achieved without violating scientific integrity. In fact, many clinicians already do so intuitively through empathetic communication and patient-centered care. What we often label as miracles may not represent violations of natural law, but rather expressions of biological processes not yet fully understood. Historically, many phenomena once considered miraculous, such as infection control or anesthesia, became scientifically explicable with time. The current investigation in belief-driven healing may represent a similar transition. Medicine is not abandoning evidence, it is expanding the scope of what it considers relevant evidence. As peer-reviewed studies continue to document spontaneous remission, neuroplastic adaptation, and belief-mediated physiological change, the medical community is being challenged to refine its monism ceiling. Modern doctors are not becoming mystics, they are becoming more precise. Precision requires acknowledging what we know and what we do not yet know. The emerging view does not place prayer outside biology, it places it within a broader biological framework, one that recognizes the influence of mental states, meaning, and belief on physical systems. Faith in this context is not superstition, it is a functional variable, one that operates through pathways science is only beginning to map. The science behind prayer is not a rejection of medicine, it is an invitation to deepen it. The question is no longer whether extraordinary healing occurs. The question is whether medicine is prepared to study it without prejudice, curiosity without dismissal, and humility without fear. Because understanding healing ultimately requires understanding the whole human being, not just the body, but the mind and the meaning that connects them.